after the end of last year. We're looking for a very strong mid-jungle duo for the side of RNG. I think this is how they managed to take AL down as well for that pure pressure. And obviously seeing how Ultra Prime will respond to this. Is it going to be a Gwen B1? Shocker!
Yeah, seeing the champion not get banned at this point is more surprising than seeing it being first picked. So it's a flexible option here for either Wonjong or Junhao. It's going to be responded to, though, by a Rumble Sejuani combo, two other very powerful picks in the meta, just to set the stakes for what this game actually means. Remember, Ultra Prime won this matchup earlier on in the group stage, and RNG at this point at 1-3 must win in order to keep themselves in the conversation for avoiding a spot in the Ascension group.
Also, that was a great card collection from milkyway cards that this person had in the crowd. Now, I'm looking at this Sejuani and I sipped my coffee because I don't want to speak too soon. I feel like when you lock in Rumble Sejuani, I called it a wording Sejuani without a purpose. However, if right now you lock in something like a Yone, potentially for Tangyuan in the mid lane, then he has a buddy to play that mid-jungle duo that we really hyped up earlier on.
Yeah, we were hyping up that mid-jungle, and then immediately Milky Way locks in that Sejuani. So maybe not exciting unless we get that Yone that you were talking about. But the response for Ultra Prime being an Akali locked in for Saber. I know this is a guy that plays a lot of different champions, whether it was here or in the LDL. So should be a very explosive topside for UP overall.
I am loving what I'm seeing. I am a certified Vi hater. I don't want to see this champion be won unless it's played by the Bao top lane, like full AD, glass cannon, infinity edge. However, right here, this Vi is not alone. She's got Akali and she's got Gwen to dive in with her. So you actually have bodies that commit themselves in the all-in. I feel like RNG are going to have to take the task of maybe removing some AD carries that really like to go in, or some carries that are very defensive, such as the Kai'Sa that really likes following up with things like the Vi, or even things like the Ashe or the Jhin that likes setting up for far away.
The Renata ban here on the other side. I was kind of expecting maybe Niket even wanting to play something like that with all the hard engage that UP have already set up, but it looks like they are prioritizing some other things. As the bot lane, obviously the priority here. The matchup between Wako and JiaQi should be very interesting, as well as seeing a little bit more of Xiaoxu, a new addition to this roster for split number 2.
Let's see what the last ban is going to be here. They're going to stick. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. Kai'Sa makes a lot of sense for RNG as well, if they want to play sort of like a diving composition together with the Rumble and stuff like that. But they're going to ban the whole duo. Kalista, Renata, out of the way. Things still like the Nautilus, the Leona, still very prominent in terms of engaging. The Rel, all up for grabs for both teams.
Man, I'm very curious to see how RNG specifically approaches the way that they want to set up their bot lane, because, as you said originally, 3 heavy dive topside champions here for UP. Do they try to combat that, or do they try to just like add fire to the flame by picking up something like the Kai'Sa, which has currently been left unbanned? The Misfortune is taken away, and it's immediately a Rel lock-in for Niket. We are flying through this draft here in game number 4, Trouble.
I've never seen an R5 AD carry in a very, very long time, which is only you lock in a safe AD carry, hard shoving AD carry, and then you want to counterpick support. But right here, we have the Rel coming through first. Of course, you don't have the chance of playing the Ezreal with an enchanter to hard shove, but right here, it could potentially be something like a Kai'Sa plus... Oh, that's actually very clever. Xayah would have been that one champion that I'd say, hey, Akali, Gwen, Vi, diving backline. Xayah is one of the best anti-dive AD carries. Ultra Prime is just going to straight up take that away.
So it's a takeaway, and also, you know, a pretty strong pick for Wako, especially if it's paired up with this Rakan in the 2v2. Can allow for, you know, Junhao to have another lane to play through if you are Ultra Prime. Remember, they lost their first game of the day. It's been a couple of hours for them to sit back, relax, and try to lock back in for the remainder of this. Still have an opportunity to end up in the top half of this group, but we'll see if this is the composition that will do it for them, as that's the Kai'Sa for JiaQi that you were talking about being locked in on that R5. He has had a terrific go of things on this champion. You think back to that matchup that they had against Anyone's Legends.
Oh, yeah, that was a quadra kill on that Kai'Sa when he played that. However, it's not going to be the easiest task for him, because once he gets locked down by Vi, it's not like you can ult to the other side of the fight, because you're actually locked into that CC from the Vi. So it gets a little bit dicey in terms of how he wants to play the team fights. I was honestly expecting to see potentially a Jhin for RNG down the bottom, sort of set up for your Yone and your Rumble going far in. You're also very safe from the dive. But right here, whenever you have dive champions and melee champions like Akali, They do technically really struggle through that laning phase, and this Akali will be no different. Level 3, Yone suddenly becomes a champion that can take really strong trades and push out the wave, so I can't wait to see how these priorities will play through that mid lane, because milkyway has a lot to say on that Sejuani. You can very early impact lanes, because you have a lot of setup everywhere for yourself.
Yeah, especially in that mid lane with the Yone, where you can, get that Ever Permafrost passive stacked up instantly. That is definitely an angle for RNG to attack from. On the other side, though, Ultra Prime, they have that Zyrakan bot lane. I feel like they are going to have the advantage early in the push on that 2v2. And we're going to get explosive team fights, I think, from the start here in this game, Trouble. I know some of these LPL games have been a little bit more slower, especially early on in the group stage. But the way that these compositions have been set up, there's just no way, right? We're going to get some early action.
I feel like we're gonna have to wait for like at least an item. I feel like Akali really thrives on that first item spike, and if you listen to like a lot of OTPs on Akali, they're like, okay, make sure you get out of that laning phase as easy as possible. Do not die, farm as much as you can, and get that first item. Once that first item is locked in, then we're talking game.
And we are right into that game, as you said. Ultra Prime up against RNG here in the LPL Group B placement stage of Split 2 in 2025. Remember, this is a matchup that UP won earlier on in the group stage, and RNG need the win in order to even up that score and keep themselves alive here in Group B.
I'm just going to say that for RNG, they have a tough task when it comes to potentially even getting themselves into that group ascension, and it doesn't necessarily all rely on them to get potentially that tiebreaker, that chance to make it into the group ascension. However, it does start with them, and that's the most important thing. They've got the next 2 games. If they can pick up a victory versus Ultra Prime, and then a victory versus AL, which have been the only team to do that so far in this group, and the last team that will have the chance to do that as well, then we're talking game. But RNG, it starts with you, and it potentially ends with you as well.
So not necessarily controlling their whole destiny, but they have a good amount of it in their hands. As you say, it starts with the win here against UP. Take a look at the summoner spells overall before we get right into things. We have double combat summoners up in the top side. That's an exhaust for Wenjiang, and that's an ignite flash combo here for Xiaoxu. So we're gonna get a little crazy up there maybe.
Actually, I'm very happy to see the grasp coming out of Tangyuan right here. You're playing into a melee matchup. You are going to get a lot of those procs from grasp. And also something very interesting is the lethal tempo over on JiaQi, over in the bot lane of that Kaisa. You usually see a lot more DP Kaisa, especially when you're playing versus very squishy targets, which Ultra Prime have drafted pretty much 5 of them on the other side. But it also gives you the gist that this Kaisa is going to be diving in. You want that Kraken Slayer. You want that Rage Blade to actually get into the backline and assassinate somebody on the 4th auto attack.
Level 2 kind of shared here between these 2 bot lanes to start things off. We see same side clears for the junglers as well. They're both pathing towards that top side. Makes sense given the potential explosiveness of that matchup up there between the Gwen and the Rumble. So far, Wenjiang winning out on that one. It's actually milkyway getting the accelerated clear, at least to start things off after taking down those single camps in the jungle on the bot side.
And I do really like the Ignite that you mentioned earlier as well, as we're looking at the Rumble versus Gwen matchup, because you can actually create some pressure early on. However, the Exhaust, as also mentioned earlier, could actually dissuade situations where the Kaisa dives in the backline. Hold on. Junhao is going to get spotted right here, but milkyway has to pull off because both his Yone and his Rumble are under tower. Going to get spotted right here. A little bit of pressure in the jungle, but without any buddies in the jungle, it's very hard to contest that.
Yeah, I don't think Junhao realized he got spotted until that ward was just placed by Milky Way, but instead, it's going to be Wenjiang actually forcing Xiaoxu to flash away. However, now the Rumble is overheated. Flame Smitter comes out, the flash followed by Milky Way will force Junhao to use the summoner spell of his own. All of a sudden, RNG's top side could be in a bit of trouble. However, Wenjiang's going to dash forward. Who will get first blood? It's going to be Ultra Prime picking it up. Can Xiaoxu find a trade?
No way.
The Electro Harpoon comes out. The heat is stacked up nicely. Any more crowd control could mean Xiaoxu's demise. He finds 1 kill, but Wenjiang will finish the job. 2 for 1 for Ultra Prime.
An absolute scrap over the red buff and a little bit of Krugs over on the top side quadrant of Milky Way's jungle. However, it's a 1-for-1 for both the top lanes. They both managed to pick up a kill. And as you will see, Rumble will be able to catch up with the wave over on the top side of the map. However, I feel like milkyway is going to have to help a little bit. As I can see, from what little I can see from the minimap, this wave is going to push, which means that Rumble's going to get overextended. That's why you see milkyway actually staying over on the top side of the map. He needs to help his top laner push out that wave because he will be under stress of a gank.
And you can see immediately that means that Junhao is able to claim that topside scuttle and maybe even be around the area for a potential play as well. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Grand Entrance lands with the JiaQi. He's forced to pop the barrier early as Niket went for a bit of a roam towards that mid lane. It allows for the Ultra Prime bot lane to get a plate, and they are off to a fantastic start to this early game.
milkyway still playing warding Sejuani towards the top side of the map. Let's watch the scrap one more time. Very nice flash from Xiaoxu right here to get away from the Vi Q. And I actually felt like with Ignite and the exhaust being down, you actually win this iteration. But here's where you see the value coming through from the Vi. The shields that come through, the proc on the third auto attack, as well as getting the buffs off of that Sejuani, which means the red buff is no longer stacking. It has been transferred over to Ultra Prime. Overall, a great start from the Ultra Prime squad.
Oh, and I wonder if Xiaoxu had a little bit more heat and was able to get the extra attack speed, the damage on his passive a little bit earlier.
He's still
that
there,
would have meant
ladies
anything.
and gents.
As
He's
milkyway,
still there.
Yeah, he's still trying to bail his top lane out. You can see there's a 15 CS lead built up for the Gwen in this 1v1 matchup, and all 5 players currently on UP are up in gold over their respective opponents.
Yeah, this wave is absolutely screwed for Xiaoxu over on the top side of the map. Luckily for him, Junhao has kind of sniffed that milkyway is going to be helping his top laner for quite a while to actually fix his wave towards the top side of the map. So he's going to take a pretty free dragon over the bot side of the map. We usually see the handshake between the void grabs and the dragon early on, but this is an even earlier dragon. It's going to go down even before void grabs even spawn. You've got perma priority over on the bot side for Ultra Prime, and this is perfect because now you're going to get to reset with the Zaira Khan, head towards the top side of the map, and potentially get both neutral objectives for yourself.
And oh man, I mean, it looked like a 2-for-1. Oh, that's not too bad if you're RNG, right? But all of a sudden, you look at the scoreboard. It's a 1,500 gold lead. You know, Xiaoxu's not in a good place up here on the top side. Bot lane's gotten 2 plates. It's suddenly looking like a very dangerous situation for RNG Trouble, and they have the composition that wants to scrap pretty heavily, right? Once you hit that one item with the Yone, with the Rumble, but they're not going to be able to do it if they're down so far.
Yeah, and also if you look at Tangyuan, he's gone for Hexdrinker. He's actually scared of the Gwen plus the Akali, the duo that's going to be jumping the backline. So he has to go towards a more defensive route to begin with, and then go towards Blade of the Ruined King. It's very funny because I call Yone a one-item wonder. Blade of the Ruined King is the only item he needs to actually become a champion, but that has also been delayed now from a really great start from Ultra Prime.
I mean, he has to go Hexdrinker, right? Just because of how worried he is about these solo laners right now. And that is certainly going to delay even more. What RNG want to do is they've already given up the first 3 grubs as well. Junhao able to do a good job at controlling those neutral objectives so far in this game. And yeah, things looking very good for this Ultra Prime team, Trouble, a team that just is coming off of a loss earlier on, and we're going to maybe see RNG try to force a play on this top side.
I mean, for Ultra Prime, it's also do or die. They need to take that win off of RNG, because if RNG just go 2-0 in the next 2 games, they do have a chance of taking Ultra Prime's position right here. So it's all or nothing for them as well. They need to try and make their way as high up in the standings as possible, try to guarantee themselves a group ascension. And so far, it's been going great in that early game. Again, we really pinned our eyes on the mid-jungle duo. Saber has a Tangyuan's number in the entirety of laning phase. Tangyuan has been playing underneath the tower, which means that Sejuani Yone combo that we really wanted to see hasn't necessarily come into fruition yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make a play when you're getting pressured on all sides as well, right? For
He's
milkyway,
level 5.
this is the second time that Junhao's just been right up in his business in the enemy jungle, and this time I think he might have a little bit more success in taking this blue buff away. So not really any opportunities for milkyway, who, again, is like the star player that we've been talking about for this RNG team to do anything in this game and to help his team get ahead in any meaningful fashion.
I mean, to be fair, it is just so difficult to play Sejuani when you do not have prior lanes, and now you can see how a champion like Vi really does get unlocked when you have bot pushing, top pushing, mid pushing. You can pretty much be free to do whatever you want on the map, and I feel like Junhao has been taking this opportunity so well. Every single time he's got priority 3 bot lane, he's invading the bot quadrant, he knows that his Rakan will be there, does he need him to, and you also deprive milkyway of so much experience. He has been ahead for the entirety of the game right now, and only now milkyway does he get that level 6, which means that Ultra Prime were chilling in their lanes earlier on. There wasn't much setup. You're not really worried about setup from Rumble or setup from Yone, but Sejuani is really, really dangerous, and you need to play around that vision that you have around that boar and the lady that rides the boar. So right now, I think Ultra Prime will be a little bit more aware in terms of where the Sejuani whereabouts are.
And so now if you are RNG and you have this Glacier Prison for Milky Way, like what lane do you want to attack right now? Because it seems kind of tough from all angles, right? You're down 10 plus CS in all three. You know, specifically this top side is really getting ugly here for Xiaoxu. Like, which lane are you looking for the synergy? Is this still the Yone, despite the fact that he's been pushed in repeatedly?
I honestly think you're looking to scrap. Minute and a half until the next dragon, and you could try to play through that bot side of the map. You do have a couple of components on your Kai'Sa. Hexdrinker could be clutch to actually take a little bit more of an extended trade with the Akali and the Gwen popping down that bot side of the map. And just as a reminder, there is no mobility summoner spell for that Gwen. So potentially if you get her down bot lane for a skirmish, you can choose to play over there. However, the Gwen is going to find you before you find her, apparently.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that just shows how strong Wonjang is right now. Not afraid to go underneath the enemy in a 2v1 close to that tier 1 turret. I guess he knows that Junhao is nearby, but really good start to this early game for Wonjang. I feel like we knew him coming into the split as somebody who is very dominant in lane, and now he's going to get some help as well with the rest of the squad pulling up.
Oh, there's some Milky Way back under tower. Xiaoxu, that's all you, buddy.
Yep, here comes that Vi ultimate. It's combined with just a boatload of crowd control. That's the Feat of Warfare picked up, and Ultra Prime off to a terrific start to this early game.
Oh, there's just no lanes pushing for RNG. It's just so depressing to watch. Milky Way had to reset right there to get ready for the Void Grubs and the Drake spawn. Tangyuan was catching a wave. JiaQi has been consistently pushed underneath his own tower down the bot lane. He cannot get away. Xiaoxu getting dived over the top side of the map. Does not have TP. Will lose a bunch of golden experience on the tower. Oh my, it just does. We said this is where RNG starts, and JiaQi might have something to say.
Okay, actually uses the Killer Instinct to prevent that Blade Caller from doing too much just yet. There comes he. What a flash from Wako to make sure that those feathers fly right into the back of the Kai'Sa.
JiaQi tried to outplay this, and I feel like he played this so well. But if you look at how Wako placed his feathers, he had some feathers towards the tower, behind the tower, so it was easy when he flashed over JiaQi's flash that all these would be pulled into the Kai'Sa. What a well-played 1v1. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Man, AD carries get so freaking bored down the bot lane that they just choose one at some point. I mean, JiaQi uses his ult right here and the barrier, but look at it, there's just feathers everywhere. All Wako has to do is flash to the right, and that's exactly what he did.
I don't even know if the Blade Caller hit. It might have just been enough with the damage from the auto attacks. Okay, it did. So that, I mean, just another really clutch play from the bot laner. I mean, he's not really gotten any attention, right? It's been all topside so far for this game if you are Ultra Prime, and Wako and Xiaoxu still able to pick up a full turret as well as that solo kill in the 1v1 over JiaQi. So I don't know, Trouble. It's looking a little cooked right now if you're an RNG fan. It's almost 4,000 gold that you are facing as a deficit just 12 minutes into this game.
I mean, I feel like if you're going to play a warding Sejuani, you kind of have to do what Weiwei did yesterday. You sacrifice yourself and you just perma-gank on the map. However, Milky Way is a little bit more of a self-sufficient jungler, if you will, even when he plays onto the Sejuani. When you fall behind, you just really need to send it, and he might just send it here.
Okay, flash onto Wonjang. Gonna actually tick him down quick enough with that ignite. Now Junhao is stuck in a 1v2, maybe a 1v3 as the Yone comes in. However, the rest of the reinforcements have arrived for Ultra Prime. It's going to be a 4v4 on the top side of the map. JiaQi on his way as well, and I think both parties know that. And so Ultra Prime going on the retreat after just losing that one kill.
I mean, we just needed this so much earlier coming in from RNG. They just needed to send it. Milky Way has to sacrifice himself. He is going to fall behind inevitably onto the Vi. You need to actually pull flashes off of the Akali in the mid lane early on. She was pressuring Tangyuan under tower the whole time. Same for Wonjang. He doesn't have a displacement summoner spell, just the exhaust. That's actually perma-ganked that Gwen. I feel like this is the start of RNG fighting back, but is it a little bit too late? 2 dragons already secured, 3 void grubs already secured, feats of strength already secured for Ultra Prime, and you've got a lot of key component items completed as well. Particularly, I'm looking at the Akali one. This is where Akali becomes a champion.
Yeah, has that rocket bell. I mean, survived the part of the game where she might have been a little bit weaker and used the ultimate on the defensive to try to escape Niket, who went in for a potential play and picked up the cannon. Hey, that's a dub.
-1s in the chat for this one. Using that rocket bell to good use at least, if not to kill someone, use it on cooldown.
Yeah.
I still remember, what was the name of the item? Was it Everfrost? No.
Was it the Hextech GLP maybe, or?
Yes, that one. The little gun-looking thing that no one was building, and you could like pretty much just spam on demand. It was actually kind of nuts, but the actual item was useless.
Yeah, some of the Hextech items back in the day. I mean, yeah,
hey, you know what?
They had their uses.
I have an idea. Bring Hextech Gunblade back.
Hey, Akali would like that.
Feelings and thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're an Akali main, like absolutely, right?
I'm a Katarina main, so.
So fun. I mean, yeah.
So there you go.
I feel like you might be a little biased here, as.
No. It's just for the integrity of competition, you know, like more fun champions in the mid lane.
Hey, I'm all for it personally, and I'm sure it would benefit Katarina players, benefit Akali players. That item was really fun. I mean, you could there was a time where you could build an arena, and I remember just spamming it because it was very fun to play. I miss having it in the game.
All right.
Regardless, 3,500 gold lead for Ultra Prime. They're pushing here mid.
And there's no one there to defend. Rumble caught bot lane. Yone is... Wow! That's the freest tier 1 I've seen in a very long time. 15 minutes in, no one there to defend. Wow. Now you see why it's so difficult, especially when you're on red side. When you're red side, you need to make sure that you are playing lanes that will be able to defend and wave clear. And so far, RNG have managed to counterpick themselves on all 3 of them.
Yeah, which I'm a little surprised by. I guess they were going for the overall composition. Maybe could find a play here onto Saber as Tangyuan issues the Fate Seal. Niket on the way as well. Forces the flash out of the Akali. But that is all that will be done. Dragon spawning in just under 30 seconds or so. And both teams on the top side of the map. Instead, maybe trying to fight for this Rift Herald. Xiaoxu going in for a little knock-up on the Milky Way, but the Blast Cone will send him away.
Yeah, and you see the resets coming through. I feel like right here, RNG do have their eyes set very firmly onto that dragon on the bottom of the map. There are hex gates all over the map as well, which will help them get there faster. And they do know from the side of RNG that they have lost complete control over the top side of the map. However, I see Niket actually taking the hex gate towards the top side of the map. RNG might be looking to fight, but this is completely the wrong play right here. You need to be playing to establish some vision over the both side of the map. That Rift Herald is completely gone, but I feel like majority of the reason why RNG is heading towards the top side is to make sure that Tangyuan stays alive. Very clever play right here from Ultra Prime. They see everyone towards the top side. This is spectator mode from RNG.
I mean, it's like a lose-lose here. If you are RNG, you're not going to get the dragon, or you're just starting up the dragon, I guess, Milky Way making it there. But now you give up all 3 of your top lane or of your outer turrets, and maybe even another charge onto the inner. There's 4 players here for UP. They are perfectly okay with giving this dragon up because they already have that 2-0 lead. They just want to continue to line their pockets, and with that tier 2 being taken, it's a over 5,000 gold lead, and they're maybe even looking for more with one junk pushing in here. However, the response for Niket will be a Magnet Storm being issued, the Equalizer over the top as well. But I think this Gwen is just out with the hollowed miss, preventing any of that damage from being issued from afar. So Ultra Prime, they give up the dragon, but they get so much on the other side in terms of gold.
Absolutely. If you ever told me that a Gwen, an Akali, and a Vi were actually the best sieging team you have ever seen in the game, I would tell you you're freaking crazy. 3 melee champions that have taken 1, 2, 3, 4 towers 17 minutes into the game, not to mention the uncontested minute 14 mid lane tier 1, which was absolutely illegal to get for a team like this with no range. I feel like RNG are just throwing a white flag right here. Again, the fact that they didn't sacrifice their early game to actually try and get their lanes ahead is just bleeding into them trying to constantly, desperately wave clear whatever's pushed into them. And now JiaQi is going to be forced to play on that mid lane where you do not have a tier 1 mid lane tower, which means you cannot overextend. Xiaoxu has said really nice deep vision on the sides, and RNG is going to start bleeding over all their lanes.
Hey, there's that Hyper Siege composition they were talking about again, trying to take down that
3
tier
melees? Hell yeah.
I mean, when you have this much of a gold lead, you can kind of do whatever you want, as we're seeing right here. Ultimate onto Milky Way. He's forced to flash out. 5 members of Ultra Prime around this bottom side, as they are aware of the blue buff coming up as well. Tangyuan dashing forward here, looking to try to do a little bit of damage with that Soul Unbound, but looks like RNG as a 5-man unit is enough to push Ultra Prime away. It looks like that'll be all for now.
That would have been a great chance for Xiaoxu to get the equalizer of his life. Everyone piled up in the tightest choke point in RNG's jungle. However, wasn't up and available. That's why Ultra Prime made the play. The new equalizer was down, so they were free to play around milkyway, trying to force his flash, which they did, alleviating a lot of that pressure. And now it starts becoming a little bit difficult, because if you look at the targets that milkyway has to take down here, I think it's pretty much Vi. Gwen, CC immune if she gets into the bubble. Xayah has her ultimate. Akali can get into her shroud or also jump with her ultimate or her E to get away from any Sejuani ultimate. So what are your targets right here? Just Vi. Junhao is going to be going in anyway. So I feel like Milky Way is going to have a really tough task of actually hitting some of those very key ultimates to hit one of those very key targets to pin them down and try to kill them.
Yeah, and if you use all your kit on the Vi, well then the Gwen, the Akali, and the Xayah are just gonna rip apart your team anyway, right? So it's kind of a lose-lose for Milky Way, who has definitely lost out in terms of this jungle matchup early on to Junhao, which is a bit surprising given how the expectations were of this mid jungle for RNG coming into this game. Just really has been unable to find any plays on the map. Seems like everywhere that Milky Way has gone, Ultra Prime have read him correctly, and now are going to just be starting up this Oton 20 minutes in.
Yeah, you'll see RNG. They're trying to get through the top side of the map. This is the correct play. You cannot funnel through the choke point, but Tangyuan needs to TP ward to get in. Akali on the top side.
I don't even know if he's going to go for it. I mean, the Otocon's at 4,000 HP. Even if he does teleport, it will be far too late before the objective potentially goes down. The engage comes through from Niket. It locks down Wako. Wako gets one shot as Xiaoxu picked up the shutdown. Now, it's going to be the Otacon picked up by RNG. What just happened here, Trouble? They're going to win this fight as well. Wonjong under target as Tangyuan lands the knockup on the Q3. The Gwen is strong, but not strong enough here for RNG. What a fight turnaround for them.
The 50-50 coming through from Ultra Prime. What a devastating play. When you're ahead so much gold, you never want to be taking 50-50s, whether it's Baron, Dragon Soul, or Atakan, particularly when it's Ferocious Atakan, which will then allow you to take more free fights with the buff. And RNG are just suddenly, just like that, back into the game. 3 kills onto the Rumble. Tangyuan managed to pick one up as well. And look at this. JiaQi is untouched the whole time, and this Kai'Sa is a Kraken Slayer on hit. Kai'Sa will absolutely shred through the HP bars. Junhao and Milky Way take the 50-50. It's actually JiaQi that takes smiteless Kai'Sa taking the Atakan down, and after that it's just as easy as picking up anyone who's left behind from Ultra Prime. What a turnaround right here from RNG.
You know, if I had a nickel every time JiaQi's Kai'Sa stole an Otacon in this group stage, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Yep, absolutely. On a Kai'Sa as well. So like it's a Kalista.
I mean, yeah, incredible play here from our rookie of the split from split 1 of the LPL, and a shout out to Niket as well, finding that knock-up with the the crash down onto Wako before he was able to pop the ultimate with the equalizer on top of him. That shut down the Xayah before the fight even started. A really big win for RNG as they're right back into this game. It's only a 1k deficit right now, specifically Xiaoxu. Very strong, and with these Otacon revives, they can take this dragon, and they can maybe even look for a fight mid.
So about to say, how do you walk back into your own... Smithy right there from Milky Way coming through, and
look at Junhao, though. Finds potentially an engage, but a really nice follow-up here from Tangyuan and Niket. Back into the back line. JiaQi goes. He'll be sent back via the revives. Remember, this is all gravy here if you're RNG. They're going to try to pick up as many kills as possible because they know they'll be headed right back to the base. Niket, the only one to officially fall. It's a big fight for Ultra Prime, but they don't get any quote-unquote kills off of it.
This was the most beautiful Vi combo I've ever seen. I could actually cry. This is a team that knows how to play around a Vi combo. Junhao with a fantastic flank behind the Wolves right there, the Wolves pit rather. And let's watch this one more time. Pin your eyes onto this Vi. Milky Way overextends, which leaves his backline extended and exposed. JiaQi will flash over the wall, but Junhao has vision on him. So the second the R connects, both Gwen and Akali insta-dive past the wall to hit on that key target that's pinned down by Vi. And that's why we're saying it's so crucial when you are playing Vi that you do have Vi buddies to dive back with you to assassinate the target that's getting pinned down by the Vi R.
I mean, such great synergied here by this Ultra Prime combo. I mean, I feel like, you know, credit Xiaoxu a little bit as well. Coming in as this new addition to the team, was on that BLG Academy roster with Junhao just last year, and looks like they didn't miss a beat after returning here to the LPL. Immediately after that Vi ultimate, everybody back in on top of JiaQi, and again, even if it was only the Otacon revives, it prevents any additional plays from happening, and it kind of stabilizes the game again for UP, who once again are back up about 2,000 gold. And I think more importantly here, Trouble, the gold is in the right places right now as well, right? Look at Wako, 2.5 items, 2.5 items for Saber as well. They're doing very good for themselves in this one.
Oh, absolutely. And if you're RNG and you've just taken the Atakan, what did you earn from the Atakan? Absolutely nothing. If anything, they just got that dragon, I guess. But getting one dragon for the Atakan, is the least good scenario you can actually have. You need to use it to actually force fights under towers, dive, get more towers, get more vision, which would then allow your Sejuani to play through that fog of war and be a little bit more threatening. However, Milkyway needs to practice his patience right here. I feel like it's really hard to actually get the ultimate to connect on the side of Ultra Prime from that Sejuani, so you need to really, really practice your patience and find the key targets.
And we saw it in that Otacon fight, right? This is a wombo combo composition here for RNG. You want to throw all the ultimates onto as many people as possible, with whether it's the Rel, with the Rumble, the Yone as well. And right now, Ultra Prime is doing a good job at making sure that that is difficult. Targetable natures of their kit makes it difficult, in addition to just the way that they're playing this mid game out right now.
As you can see right here, RNG, they know that the next objective is most likely going to be played around that Baron. However, next Dragon, minute and 40 seconds, will be soul point for both of the teams. They managed to secure that one. However, for RNG, it's been a constant struggle because they've lost all these towers, because they don't have a lot of wave clear, they don't have a lot of push, they don't have a lot of vision to actually get inside their own jungle even. So once they know that the resets are coming through from Ultra Prime, very clever from RNG, they're actually going to move in and take a bunch of vision, and this is them sneaking a Baron. Not for too long though, because Ultra Prime do know what's happening. Yeah,
I mean, they were able to push up mid lane, so JiaQi is late to the party. Milkyway throwing up the ultimate. He's 0 for 2 in terms of finding those engages right now, as they will back away from that one, as it's very hard to do anything when you're losing that mid push as well.
Remember the patience that needed to be exercised?
Yeah,
we're working on it. It's a work in progress for Milkyway. I mean, of course, he's trying to create opportunities for his team, right? Once he lands that ultimate, then the Yone follow-up will be great with the Kai'Sa and the Rumble on top of that as well. As you mentioned before, the whole wombo combo makes someone instantly disappear. However, they're very slippery targets. That's why I mentioned the patience. Wait for them to make a misstep, but RNG just keep forcing. This is the way they took AL down as well. They kept permanently forcing and fist fighting them. However, right now, you're not in the best case scenario. I feel like even though you did manage to get that fight over at Atakan versus Ultra Prime still have the superior team fighting composition right here, with so much agency and slipping to the backline for their entire team.
And so right now, we're going to have to wait to actually, I think, fight for this one, at least for a little bit. That dragon is about to spawn, but it looks like neither team is really set up for it just yet. Looks like instead, actually, Ultra Prime trying to clear out vision around the Baron, potentially looking for a trade if RNG decide to start this dragon on spawn. Looks like that's not going to be the case. However, the vision game up on that top side is completely controlled by UP, and RNG are just completely frightened to walk into there.
Oh, actually very clever as well. Terminus as third item for JiaQi. Gives him a little bit more of those defenses without necessarily having to build a so-called pure defense item. Tangyuan is going to stick onto the dragon. And this is the most clever thing ever, because you can actually TP, take that dragon, which is going down super fast, and then TP straight into that fight. RNG are looking to bite.
But the Baron is melting so far by UP. Xiaoxu, the ult engage, does not connect. Flash in by Milkyway is not in time, as Wako secures the Baron pickup here for UP. Engage back in. Wonjong with the needlework, doing so much damage and refusing to go down. It's a 1-for-0 plus the Baron here for Ultra Prime, but RNG at least get themselves soul point.
That was the perfect case scenario if Tangyuan TP'd into the play. RNG are sort of hanging in the balance of, do we want to contest, but then they took the Baron, but then we're sticking around to fight, but then our Yone is not TPing in, And I feel like they've played spectator mode for majority of this game. They've just been looking at Ultra Prime making the plays, and they just cannot seem to pull the trigger on any of those plays. And this has really come to bite them in this game. There was one fight that apparently ended up being a fluke that they won over on the top side of the map, and that was about it. Ultra Prime have been always one step ahead and playing around those TPs and those triggers that are just not being pulled from RNG.
Yeah, and immediately continuing the pace of this one here, as with that Baron pickup, gonna try to continue the siege. The lone remaining tier 2 tower is here in the bottom side. However, this is maybe the opportunity or the situation where you might want to have a little bit more siege potential, as with those 3 melees, could be a bit more difficult. With another wave crashing in, should be enough to take this one down.
Yeah, there you go. They're gonna take that one as well. You heard it here, ladies and gents. Melee champions, extremely good at sieging. Ultra Prime proving everyone wrong on this regard. However, all jokes aside, they will have 2 waves coming through at the same time. Baroned up, double cannon as well. One's going to die, and the other one is not quite close enough. It will be just about right now. JiaQi is going to overextend just a little bit to take this one down. So the Baron so far has netted them 1 tower over on the bot side of the map. They actually... Now, this is where the melee composition kind of like becomes difficult to siege, because Xayah is really good at hitting tower. However, your other solo laners are all melees together with your jungler, so you cannot really get that push really easily on both sides.
RNG gonna have to dig deep here. Equalizer comes out looking for some sort of engage. Really nice patience there from Wako to save that Feather Storm until any possible crowd control lands. And the Xayah will be out scot-free, headed right back to base with the Baron buff available for just 1 more wave.
For RNG, if all you lose is that bot lane tier 2, you're very happy with how this Baron has gone. 2.5 minutes until next Dragon. That Baron buff would have expired. You can get to push out your lanes. And I know it looks a little bit grim, because if you look at the tower, 6 towers for Ultra Prime, only 2 for RNG. The death timers are actually pretty heavily high right now. So if RNG can manage to pull a victory around that Dragon Pit in 2 minutes time, you could very easily just push for the win right there in Ultra Prime. Even though they do have the items, RNG have already pulled 1 teamfight skirmish win before, and a lot of their key items completed, Infinity Edge being one of them for Yone right now. Tangyuan has been in the shadows for majority of this game, and if there's a time for him to shine, it's going to have to be the next team fight.
I mean, remember at the start of the game, we were saying, oh, this Yone could maybe get ahead in the early game with the help of milkyway, but it didn't really happen. And Tangyuan has been a player that's been, I think, inconsistent, to say the least, even when he's had his good moments so far here in 2025. So coming up big in this would be very important. As RNG, remember, if they lose this game, headed right down to the Nirvana group automatically. They are guaranteed themselves 4th if they do not come up with a victory.
And Tangyuan has had some really great performances on the Aurora. However, now he is tasked to find those big wombo combo ultimates in the backline. I mean, he's playing one of the most broken champions on the 3rd item, Power Spike, that you can ask for. You do have Seekers on Rumble as well. You have 2nd item completed, Unending Despair, full Milky Way too. 3 items on your Kaisa, including Terminus. So this is where you should be looking to take fights. 50 seconds from the next Dragon, and RNG have got that mid and bot push and are setting up for the fight.
And hey, they have Soul Point. Remember, that's the trade that they opted for, with that Baron being taken on the other side for Ultra Prime. Would pay off heavily for them if they're able to grab that Hextech Soul. All of a sudden, if you get that, all the damage that it provides, the extra utility it provides, could be big. However, it's still right now is Ultra Prime in the driver's seat, as they are really controlling this bottom side river, knowing how important this objective is.
Yeah, and if you look at all the levels, it's like level 16 Vive, level 17 Xayah, Akali, versus level 14 Milky Way. You usually want to see your tank sort of like enter the jungle, but even Milky Way, who's the biggest tank on the side of RNG, cannot face check them, because he will end up going down. Smite going down means you instantly lose the 50-50 and the chance to steal for the Dragon. But right here, I want RNG to give Tangyuan a way to TP behind enemy lines. There is a ward on the left of Wako right here, right on that left side ramp, leading into that river, but he's gonna choose to play towards that blue buff on the right side.
And now joining his team on the bottom side flank. Soul Unbound comes out, so Tangyuan very far away from this fight right now, and that just allows for Ultra Prime to hit onto the objective a little bit earlier. Dragon's at 5,500 HP.
Another
It would be a
50-50?
50-50 if they try to go for it. Here comes the engage. Tangyuan initially trying to lock down Junhao. Doesn't land the ultimate, but the Dragon is still secured by milkyway. That is Hex Soul, but will it mean anything right now? Tangyuan is exhausted, and Wako has been untouched. He flashes forward for a double kill, potentially looking for more, but JiaQi will use a killer instinct. He flashes forward. This could be the moment for the RNG AD carry. He picks up one Jung as well as a triple kill for the Kaisa. The Void Seeker goes wide, but RNG will take that any single day. They win the team fight off the back of their rookie ADC.
And honestly, the unsung hero, look at the damage bar, 6.3k damage from Xiaoxu on that Rumble, absolutely shredding through those HP bars. 5, 2, and 5. We'll have that hourglass completed right now, and this is the Hextech Soul that you were talking about. Now the power is coming through from RNG, and honestly, big props to Tangyuan for starting up that fight. Finding Junhao, everyone commits, trying to take the fight down, eliminating the process of the 50-50. And right now, RNG, since they have more members alive on the map, they get first dibs onto the Baron. This could be that one fight that we were talking about now with the 3-item completion on everyone from RNG that will turn the game around.
Hey, maybe benefit for being 2 levels down. You respawn a little bit quicker. That means the Milky Way's there first, able to pick up that Baron Nashor. Let's take another look at this team fight here, Trouble. It was a 50-50 flip, but at the end of it, RNG really taking control.
Fantastic Q3 from Tangyuan, pinning down Junhao. I think he pulled him away from smite range as well with the ultimate, if I'm not wrong.
Wow.
And I just want you to look at Xiaoxu this entire time. He's peeling for JiaQi on that Kaisa, and them two just deal so much damage. JiaQi quadra kill in that AL best of 1, and right here, very close to his second one.
And you mentioned it. This is exactly how RNG found that upset against anyone's Legends, right?
Absolutely.
It was picking these team fights around neutral objectives and just being the better team in those respective skirmishes. And there's still a lot of standing gold on the map for RNG as they're potentially looking for their mid lane outer turret, which still hasn't been taken yet. However, Ultra Prime still technically in the lead in terms of gold, but they have to be so careful. Look at the damage that Equalizer was able to do onto Wako.
He just walked the entire distance of that Equalizer, and what happened there? Wako just didn't fancy walking off the Equalizer, which will put him super low on HP. He has to reset right there. Great trade from Tangyuan right now onto Saber as well, and RNG have woken up. One team fight is all it took to put them back into the game. Gold dead even after these 2 towers go down, and RNG for the first time in this entire game on the driver's seat. Tangyuan? Oh, that's a replay.
That's a little replay, but I mean, showing how strong Tangyuan is as well. Saber's all right. He's back to full HP as he headed back to base. But yeah, RNG Trouble, they were dead in the water. Like 10 minutes in, they were down 3,000 gold. It seemed like Ultra Prime were going to run away with it. But it's just the execution in these team fights that have proven to help them out in terms of keeping themselves in this game. And all of a sudden, they're even 36 minutes in. Milky Way throws out the ultimate, not able to find much. And Tangyuan wreaking havoc on this bot side as well.
Excuse me, but what is the cooldown on that Equalizer? Didn't he just pop in on the mid lane tier 1? And now he just has it again? Like 30 seconds later, we just have an Equalizer. I just want you to look at the Rumble ultimate circle on the top left of his portrait. It's almost halfway past the cooldown already. Absolutely disgusting, and Xiaoxu doing so much damage. Already a needless large rod in his inventory, heading towards that death cap. Hourglass, very importantly completed for JiaQi as well. And now RNG can truly and certainly throw their faces into Ultra Prime.
I mean, remember how far behind Xiaoxu was at the start of this game after that early skirmish? I mean,
that's crazy.
Now just like really succeeding in this one. Not the game just yet. However, they're getting pretty close to it. Look at the damage that was able to be issued onto Wako, being forced to pop that Feather Storm early. However, the re-engage could be big, as Niket will go down off of a nice play from Xiaoxu.
Oof, that was a little bit too deep right there. Luckily for RNG, no big objectives to take down. However, Ultra Prime are perma-pinging.
Okay, here's the equalizer. Oh, a four-man ultimate potentially from Tangyuan. JiaQi still at full HP, however, gonna get potentially collapsed upon, forced to go golden. Tangyuan and JiaQi now have to do it as Ultra Prime looking to kind of keep themselves alive in this game. JiaQi picked up the kill onto one jog. Saber comes back, and a two-man knockup from Tangyuan will secure the ace for RNG.
Everyone, welcome back. Tangyuan into the game, and yet another quadra kill for JiaQi's Kai'Sa. Teams that give this guy Kai'Sa should actually, I don't know, I'm not gonna say it, but Tangyuan and JiaQi just got a very funny thing done right here, which could very easily just be ending the game, and RNG really needed this to keep their hopes alive of making it into that group ascent.
It was a do-or-die game. They were looking like die, but they are about to do the unthinkable here against Ultra Prime. Xiaoxu has respawned, looking to try to at least clear out the minion wave, but the Nexus is now exposed. JiaQi and Tangyuan don't care about that Rakan. They can just go for the Nexus instead. There's one last kill as JiaQi enters double figures, and RNG keep themselves alive here in Group B.
Absolute MVP performance. JiaQi, you mentioned it, coming through that academy, rookie in the team. Like, what an incredible performance. And I will say, for RNG, there's been a lot of critical tongues around the organization and how long it's been since they saw some success. And I feel like for RNG to show up in that game, their fans really did need this. They really did need this. We said it was first in their hands to try and fight for that group ascent. And right here, they got game 1 out of 2 already in the bag.
You know, for so long, it was RNG. They only are able to succeed if they have the mega super team of all the superstars, right? With Xiao, who's the one kind of carrying the team on his back, but when he was gone, didn't have the same amount of success. But it looks like they have been able to figure out how to build a roster successfully here, Trouble. And it starts with their jungler milkyway, who did not have the best early game by any stretch of the imagination, but was able to build and build and build and find some of those big ultimates at the end. And then their rookie in the bottom side, JiaQi, they found a golden boy down there. He is absolutely popping off here in 2025.
Absolutely, and I feel like there were also a bunch of threats on that RNG roster. If it wasn't the Yone finding the angle, it was the Rumble. If it wasn't the Rumble, it was the Kai'Sa. Well, it was always the Kai'Sa, but it was always either the Rumble or the Yone peeling for the Kai'Sa to allow JiaQi to get these quarter kills and the triple kills that turned the entire game around. And I feel like specifically for RNG and Milky Way, it's always a two-way street when you look at the junglers. It's like, is the jungler really not doing well, or are the lanes really not facilitating for him? Milky Way was playing a counter matchup, Vi was invading, 3 lanes of priority. Like, Junhao had really that game in his hands, but it's like at the end of the day, do you rather have a 3k gold lead Vi or a 3k gold lead Kai'Sa? And I'll just go with the Kai'Sa any day.
Yeah, and for RNG, still hope for them now in this group, right? I mean, if they lost that game, they'd be guaranteed 4th, guaranteed to head into that group Nirvana, where they could have been at danger of having their season end before Split 3 even begins. However, they still have life. There still is a chance that they have to, you know, go down there into that group Nirvana, but that win over Ultra Prime definitely helping them out here. However, they have to quickly reset after that big comeback. I'm sure the emotions are running high, but they got to lock in because they're playing this next game against anyone's Legends in just a few short minutes.
Okay, listen to me. RNG, if you're listening, do not hold back in that early game. The reason why we had RNG beat AL to begin with is because they were fist fighting the entire game. And I feel like this is how you throw really good teams with really good macro off their balance. We saw it yesterday. As well. In the game that we had, LNG versus IG, LNG just kept fist fighting IG the whole time. And this kind of looked like LNG-esque favored game. RNG just need to just straight up do the same. This was a very slow early game for RNG. Teams like AL would never let them come back like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the formula for how they won, you know, that against AL and even here against Ultra Prime, where they realized, like, wait, guys, we just need to start fighting them, right? And then maybe give themselves a chance. And it seems like the mechanical prowess on specifically players like Xiaoxu and JiaQi are able to get them a lot of the way there after, you know, what was a disastrous early game for them. I mean, I would personally, I don't know about you, I was ready to chalk it up and say, like, let's go to the next one anyway. But ended up being proven wrong, and I'm very glad that that is the case, because it also means that things are still interesting here in Group B, and RNG specifically are now put in another must-win situation against AL.
Hey, listen, TT could have said the same thing, but they stopped that Sion with their last breath from hitting that Nexus, all right?
Then it didn't work out. Then you know, they
There you go.
stopped
I
it for
mean,
like 30 seconds or
True,
whatever.
they
but-
still tried. Wow, 30,000 almost damage from Xiaoxu over on the top side of the map. And if you remember how much resources actually were put into stopping that Rumble from getting accelerated. Again, having that ignite, having that extra oomph in lane to try and push that Gwen away. And I feel like that Gwen B1 needs to be studied because we have seen it being one of the champions that is more prominent over in the LPL. However, the B1 has not necessarily done it justice yet.
It's found good moments like the one that we're going to see right here, but I agree with you. Towards the end of that game, Wanzhong was certainly cleared out by Xiaoxu in terms of the impact that he was able to have, the damage that he was able to output. As we get a look at some of these highlights here, I wanted to take a look. I wanted to call back to that gold graph that we saw in the post-match screenshot as well here, Trouble, because it was entirely blue until the last 30 seconds of the game, just proving what a comeback that really was by RNG.
Remember when it's like in solo queue you would have a FF15, like everyone's losing the lane, everyone's playing on the tower, you've lost 3 void grabs, you've lost the dragon, you've lost everything. Just go next, right? However, right here, I feel like RNG brought the solo queue into this game. It's like, never give up, guys. Can win. Just put it in all chat. Can win. Mute everyone and just go for the play. And that was the first play that actually turned the game around for RNG. It was JiaQi securing that Atakan and seeing how RNG can actually work in a teamfight environment, pairing up all of their ultimates. But then these sort of fights came around where Junhao finds a fantastic ultimate onto JiaQi, and once they shut down the Kai'Sa, this was the recipe for success after that for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for them, it was just when they had the Otacon revives, I felt like they could have maybe gotten more off of that if it wasn't such a quick turnaround off of a reset from them. And we come right back here to this dragon fight where I think Tangyuan, another big player here, trying to lock down Junhao and making sure that RNG secure that smite.
And that looked like such a lost fight for RNG. I'm not going to lie. The exhaust going down onto Yone as well. Xiaoxu and JiaQi held the fort. That was the defense of a century. That was, you know how they say the best defense is offense? That's exactly what happened here with Kai'Sa and Rumble.
I mean, when you don't have that many defensive abilities and you got the Wombo combo team fight comp, that's what you got to do. You got to just keep pressing that go button. And it ended up working out. A very close last fight. It was a 2v3 for a little bit, but JiaQi and Tangyuan end up coming up clutch once again. Look at that double knockout. I just want to remind
everyone that this fight was a complete 4 versus 5. Niket was long gone before that fight started. And you saw Ultra Prime just marching forward and pinging inhibitor towers over in the mid lane. And RNG just threw their bodies 4 versus 5. Both of these fights that were won were 4 versus 5. Maybe the key to victory is just Niket throwing his life at the very beginning and just igniting the fire in RNG.
He had some solid engages that ended up drawing a lot of pressure, and maybe the KDA didn't look that good. As we take a look at our player of the game, I feel like it could go a couple of different ways. But we knew it was going to be JiaQi at the end.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have the biggest damage share if you look at it, because I think Rumble did majority of that damage. And you also had a lot from Tangyuan. But I feel like the reason why he gets the MVP right here is because he came in clutch in these moments. The triple kill, the quadra kill, getting that Atakan over on the top side of the map. JiaQi basically, not only did he do his job, but he also kept the game alive for RNG.
RNG certainly have a rising star down there in the bottom lane as they have kept themselves alive here in Group B. However, immediately faced with another tough task in our next matchup as they will be going up against anyone's Legends. Hey, they beat him last time. We'll see if they can do it again and keep themselves in the mix at the top of Group B right after this.